Static Shock #1, written by Scott McDaniel and John Rossum, art by Scott McDaniel. Before anything else, I'm just going to read this paragraph on the first page. It's a full paragraph. I'm just going to go ahead and read it as is. The abduction of his sister, Sharon Hawkins, was a humbling experience for Virgil and for his electromagnetic persona, Static. In many ways, Virgil Hawkins died and only Static remains, yet he still sees himself as a teenager and struggles to hold on to something resembling normalcy. With the help of his mentor, Hardware, Static strives to ensure that no one suffers as he and his family did. Okay, all right. So what bothers me is that when people talk about the New 52, they always talk about Green Lantern and Batman, because neither of them really had their continuity reset. Batman still had all of his Robins, and you still had to know all of that stuff, and Green Lantern was being written by Jeff Johns, and therefore continued being written by Jeff Johns, and he wasn't about to reset his epic. But no one ever tells you that Static Shock first issue picks up from some form of previous continuity where not only was his sister abducted and returned, but what they reveal in the next couple pages is that she was cloned. Both clones are living with them. They both think they're the real one, and they hate each other. And that's just passed off as, well, comics. Okay, moving through this quickly. He's battling some dude named Sunspot who has like plasma powers. He came from Star Labs. Virgil's now working at Star Labs. He's relocated from Dakota, which is like where all of the Milestone characters started from. Now he's in New York City, maybe because of the sister thing. Kind of hard to tell. But either way, he's trying to fight him. He uses a whole lot of science jargon on like positive charges and negative charges and like plasma being in whatever state. Basically, in the end, he manages to drag him over to a bridge and disseminate him over the bridge, which is safe for all the people, but it like fried their devices. So apparently, like everyone in New York kind of wants to sue Static for whatever reason. Just the New York welcome, I guess. So he starts talking to the guy who stole this suit from Star Labs that was giving him the powers. And he's like, hey, so you're not going anywhere. He's like, dude, you don't understand. I'm going to get killed. And then he gets killed. He's shot by a faraway sniper. Apparently he has like special vision that allows him to see ultraviolet rays. And because the shot like bounced off of the atoms and either way, he's able to trace the shot. But then the sun gets in his eyes and he's unable to go any further. And then we see this group of what I can only assume are Power Rangers on motorbikes claiming they took the shot, and then they ride away. Static talks to his mentor Hardware, who was basically saying like, dude, just go to your parents. Like, you're done here for today. Have a good night. We cut to some villains. The Power Rangers are there talking to a dude with Joker makeup and talking to a dude with a piranha for a face. And his name is Piranha, and the other dude's name is the Pale Man, and we're not going to get into them, but apparently the Piranha's like a kind of a crime boss. And a bunch of other people, including police officers, are there, and they're all upset that Static messed up this thing. I don't know who's in charge. I can't tell where like the power dynamic lies, but Piranha turns to the Power Rangers and is like, hey, pull out your secret weapon. This big robot-looking man named Virul, who basically is just like, oh yes, Virul kills Static. Go back to the Hawkins home. Apparently Sharon A mailed in the ID picture for Static when they changed schools, and so he looks like a nerd, and that's a whole thing. And then Sharon B was mocking him for not having his driver's license or whatever, despite the fact he wants one, and his dad's not having any of it because his dad's a hard ass. He goes to Star Labs to get all of his stuff again. There's a hologram of Hardware who's telling him like, oh, by the way, I told everybody here that you're a troubled youth that I'm helping out, so if they give you dirty looks, don't worry about it. And he's like, cool, great, glad you did that. Then he gets some extra power-ups from Hardware in order to help him navigate New York City. Power Rangers show up, they see him flying above, and they fire off some energy discs and blow his arm off. And that's how we end issue 1. His Static is falling out of the air and his arm is literally separated from his body. I don't get it. Why did we have to continue the previous continuity? Why? I don't get it. None of that made. Why are there two Sharons? Why are we just accepting, like, oh yes, he did have all these adventures in Dakota? Oh, which ones? Whatever. You get to see his powers, though. It makes sense. No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense to me. This isn't a fresh start. This is like chapter 8, where it's just like, okay, to recap, here's what's happened in the past 8 chapters. And it's like, that's not as good as reading them. If you know all the static lore, by all means, maybe this is a perfect continuation for you. But for me, personally, no go. As writing-wise. Art-wise, it's shaky. There's some good stuff. There's some bad stuff. It's really touch and go in a lot of points. I'm going to give it a pretty average rating in terms of art, but the writing drags it down significantly. I'm going to give this a 4.5. You know what? Nah, I'm bringing it down to a 4. I convinced myself it's down to a 4. It's just like, why? Why are we clone sister? Spider-Man knows not to mess with clones that long. For how long Static's been off the whatever. Just I'm not a fan of if you're going to do a reboot, give me more than a... You don't even mention that she's a clone in your sum-up paragraph. That's kind of important. Mention that there, so I have something before I get there. And also, the dude with the Joker makeup, not explained at all. He's not even given a name. The only reason I know he's named Pale Man is because on the front cover, they list off like all the things. Like there's a virus thing down there, Pale Man, Piranha. Like they give the names of everything you're going to be seeing on the cover. They don't mention him. He's just in the background. You think a Joker lookalike is like, oh, hey, maybe we should mention why the Joker's here. No, apparently not. Cannot recommend, but I'm going to keep going. So you'll get it, everything you need to know from me. Huzzah.